We are now at the beginning of February. And if you stepped into this new year and still feel tender, uncertain, stretched, and not quite ready, I want you to hear this message clearly. You're not behind. What you are is in transition. And transition's not failure. What it actually is, it's a doorway. And it is a way for you to get from where you were to where you're going. Today, we are going to honor what is ending in your life. We are going to name what is beginning in your life. And we're going to set intentions that can actually hold you instead of hustling you and pushing you forward. Welcome to the Iowa podcast. Let's get into talking about healing intentions. This is the Iowa podcast, a space for truth, tenderness, and becoming whole, one breath at a time. Hey, Resilient Ones, welcome back to the Iowa podcast. I am Dr. Malaika, and remember, around these parts, we are healing loudly and living softly. I want to welcome you to episode 17, which is Healing in Transition. We are going to be talking about New Year intentions. So before we get into anything, as always, we want you to like and subscribe to the podcast. Please click that button. This is really important. You clicking on this allows the algorithm to know that you want to see this content so that it will pop up not only for you, but for others. Remember that you can find us on YouTube if you want to watch the show. You can find us on Apple Podcast. You can find us on Spotify or anywhere that you get your podcast. And don't forget to also subscribe to the Substack so that you can be part of the community as we talk about the different things that come with healing loudly and living softly. So now that we have gotten the business out of the way, I want to set the tone because this episode is not an episode about New Year's intentions. It's not New Year's resolutions. It's not about reinventing yourself in a specific period of time. I was very strategic with not having this episode play for you in January because remember, again, January is the time of year when we are constantly talking about resolutions and things we want to change and new habits and new things. And I'm not saying that at the top of a calendar year, we should not be thinking about the changes and the growth that we want to make in our life. But this is not about a new year, new you conversation. What it is that you are not a product that needs rebranding every January. This is about something that is much deeper. This is about honoring the season that you're in and choosing intentions that feel more like nourishment than performance. Because often these New Year's resolutions are very much performative. So if you can, I want you to take a quick breath with me to kind of level set, clear things out. So you can do that. You don't have to listen to anything while we're doing it. I just want you to take a second and I'm going to stop talking and I want you to breathe in for 5. And I want you to breathe out for 5. This is your moment of reset. And remember, this can be done at any time. You don't have to be in distress. You don't have to be in a moment where you need to necessarily calm yourself down. But breathing is always something that we do here in community, and it's something that's really important to the process that we are going through. So I wanted to have that quick reset for you as we begin this journey for this episode. It's going to be really important. And we're going to take our first break and we're going to do something different. We normally have our Aya pause later in the episode after we've gone through some education and understanding. What I want us to do is I want us to go ahead and do our Aya pause at the beginning of the episode. So let's take a quick break and we will be back in just a second. Welcome back to the episode. And as promised, we are going to go into our Aya pause early in the episode. And so I want to bring back an oldie but goodie from the very beginning of this show. And we are going to talk about the 3 breath reset, but we're going to do it as an arrival practice. Okay. If it feels safe, I want you to soften your shoulders, unclench your jaw, relax your body. Let your tongue rest in your mouth. Let your face stop doing work and being on. We're going to take 3 breaths. Breath 1, inhale gently through the nose. Exhale slowly and let your body drop a percent or two down. Breath 2, inhale. Now exhale. I want you to unhook yourself from the urgency you may be feeling. And then breath 3, inhale. And now we're going to exhale and let the day be the day and you be here present. Now, quietly answer this, even if you do not say it out loud. What part of you is asking to be tended to right now? What part of you is asking to be tended to right now? And as you slowly identify what that is, I want you to take a second to process that answer. And as you sit with that answer, we're going to take another quick break. And then we're going to come back. We're going to get a little bit deeper into this episode. Take as much time as you need to pause if you want to pause the episode for just a second before you move forward. But take a moment to be in this space and to be fully present. We'll be back in just a second. Welcome back to the pod. And we are going to get into definitions and understanding what transition actually is. And I think that this is really important because I think a lot of us confuse transition with us being off course or being off track. And so, actually, transition is not a glitch in your life. It's part of life. It's where you are basically crossing from one reality into another. It is that space where the old patterns no longer fit anymore, but also the new patterns are not stable enough in your life yet for them to be the norm. So transition can feel oftentimes like grief. It feels like you're losing something, even when the change is something that is good. So maybe you feel like your transition is exhausting. It feels like fatigue. You're getting what you prayed for, you're doing what you prayed for, you're in a space that's good. It's all the things that you've worked towards, but you still feel exhausted. Maybe your transition feels like loneliness because the people around you, they're still living in the old version of who you were. They're still responding and acting upon the old information of you. They have not caught up to this new version of you. And I want you to hear me very clear. If you're in this transition season, it makes sense that your energy is going to be different. It also makes sense that your motivation will sometimes come and go. So it's not going to always be present. You're going to have these moments where it feels like you're not motivated to move and do the things that you desire to do. Your body's going to be a little bit slower because the transition is going to require you to emotionally and physically metabolize. You're going to need to get caught up to where you are. This is the reason why goal setting can feel kind of violent in January and arbitrary. It's something that we're just doing, but it may not be the natural place that you're in your life. Again, this is not about goals being bad. We want to have goals. We want to make sure that we are setting the pace and the page for where we're trying to go. But if you're just doing it because of the flip of a calendar, that might not necessarily be where you are. You're not honoring what you lived through, and you're now turning on accident, not by choice. You're not choosing to do this, but you're turning your healing into productivity and into a productivity plan. So, again, that gets back to that hustle culture. So, today, what we're talking about is doing it in a different way. We are going to set intentions that are very much aligned with your nervous system, your values, and the actual place you are in your life. And I think that this is a key part of the process. Again, it's not about January. January is great. It's not about saying, I'm going to start going to the gym. I'm going to start eating right. I'm going to start losing weight. I'm going to start exercising and being healthier. All of those things are great, but where are you actually at in this current place in your life? Is this a natural transition that needs to happen for you? Or should you be focusing on something else because that may not be the place that you're at? So, going to take another break. And I really want us to come back and talk about the new year hustle culture because I feel like, again, it is something that we see year in and year out. And I really do think we need to sit with and talk about what this is and how it impacts us. Remember, don't forget to like and subscribe. And we don't want you to share the episode as well. As we get a little bit deeper into this, we're going to come back after this break and we're going to go a little bit deeper. Be back in just a second. Welcome back, everyone, to the episode. And we are going to talk about this new year hustle culture and what the problem is with that. So, again, here's what the world is saying to you every January. And I really want you to see this. You should be excited. You should be grinding. You should be on fire. You should have a vision board so strong it could basically power your life and push you through. If you do not feel that way, I'm pretty sure you're questioning yourself and questioning your motivation and where you are in your life. But some of you are not really entering a new year. What is happening with you is you're entering into a recovery period. Some of you are not entering a fresh chapter. You're just exiting a long season in which you have basically been holding on, trying to survive. Some of you may also have been entering a new year with unanswered prayers. You have some unfinished grief. You have some family stressors. You have body changes, financial pressures, or just the quiet exhaustion of holding everything together. So instead of forcing yourself into this hamster wheel of high performance version of this hope that you're supposed to have simply because the calendar says January, I want you to practice what I would like to call rooted intention. Rooted intention is slower, it's honest, it respects your capacity and where you are at in that moment. Rooted intention is not asking you to pretend. And I want to make sure I'm clear with this so that you're understanding. If you set intentions that do not match your capacity, you're going to start the year feeling ashamed because you're not hitting arbitrary goals. But if you set intentions that match your reality, you're going to start the year feeling supported. That is the goal that you should be having. You should be feeling that you are starting from a foundation that's sure and firm that will allow you to move forward with where you are going. So I want to be clear when I say this. Intentional living allows you to be goal oriented, to be goal focused, and to have a why. And so I want to take a kind of like a little sidebar, almost a mini commercial for one of the books that I was introduced to by my sister Soror, and it's by Simon Sinek, and it's called Start with Why. Intentional living is starting with the why. It's always remembering what your why is. We think, and we think mistakenly, that having New Year's resolutions is us identifying our why and starting with our why. But what we don't really understand is that what we're doing is just creating a list. The why is more than just, I want to do this. The why is the purpose underneath the layers of all the different things that you need to get to this goal that keeps you energized, that keeps you motivated, and keeps you on the path towards achieving. There will be things that you will need to motivate you in those times when the motivation is not naturally coming for you. The why is the thing that keeps you going. Think about you're working your job and it could be a career. Let's not even make it a job. You're working in your career. You really like what you do, but you're having a season where it's tough for you to get up out of bed. If you did not have your why as your foundation and your motivator and the intention, then it will be really hard for you to keep pushing in those times when it's tough. So this why and this rooted intention is really important. So I wanted to sit that with you. I wanted to give you the antithesis of this new year hustle culture that has been created across the globe, and it shows up in all these different societies. I wanted to give you the opposite of that because remember, we're living rooted lives. We're not living arbitrary lives, and everything starts from our roots. So we're going to take a second break, another break, not a second break, but another break. And then we're going to come back and we're going to dig a little bit deeper into this episode. We'll be back in just a second. Welcome back, everyone, to the episode. And I wanted to use a real life example of transition because I think that this is a good way for us to reinforce some of what we've already learned in this episode so far. So let's think about um, moving houses. All right. And so one thing I hate is moving. It is not my favorite thing to do. I'm the type of person that I like to be stable no matter where I'm at. And so I'm like that with work. I'm like that with most things in my life. I like stability. So you're moving houses, right? And think about what it feels like when you first get into your new space. For a while, it seems like you can't find anything. So you may know where the forks used to be in the previous place you lived in the previous house. But now the layout of your new house looks different. So that drawer may not be the same drawer that had the forks like it was where you were before. You know where your keys used to go. You had a set place where you put your keys, and now that hook is not there because there's no place for that hook like it was at the old place. So you keep reaching for the old place, and the things that you're looking for are not there. That is transition. And what do you do in that season? Do you punish yourself for not having this perfect routine on day one? Or do you set yourself up to go back to the basics, which means you need to go back to the things that are easy that you can do that won't change, right? You make your bed. You find where you put your towels, get that down, know where the towels are going to be. You make sure that you eat because you got to have, that's a daily thing you have to do. You have to eat. You do not necessarily have to put together everything exactly the way it was before because, again, remember, things cannot go back to what they were before. This is a new layout. This is a new home. So you may not have that dream pantry put together yet for your new space, but you know where you can find your can opener so that you can open up things with the can opener, right? Baby steps, building in, settling into the new space. What some of us are trying to do is we're trying to build this dream pantry or this new thing when we can't even find where our can openers are. All right. We need to set intentions that basically allow us to start with the essentials. Some things are not necessary for you to try to dig into at this stage of transition that you are in. We need to start with stability. We got to stabilize. So we start with what's going to help you breathe again if you feel like you've been holding your breath. This is not a small thing. What this is using wisdom and understanding that pushing yourself beyond what your capacity is and beyond where you are in the moment is not a wise choice. And it's going to be counterproductive in the long term. So I want us to move into a framework that we are going to use for today. And so this framework is the intention framework, and it is simply root, ritual, reach. Root, ritual, reach. You are going to use this framework that I think is simple enough that you can use it throughout the year and you can return to it at any point where you feel like you are going through transition. So let's get the definitions of what these three terms mean. Number one is the root. This is the why underneath your intention. So remember, we already talked a little bit about starting with why and what the why is and why the why is important. So the root is your why underneath the intention. The root gives you value, it gives you identity, it gives you meaning. It is what you refuse to abandon about yourself. This is not going to change. These are the things that are embedded in you that you are not going to allow yourself to let go of. Number two is the ritual. So these are small, repeatable practices that allow your root to be real. Now, again, small is important, repeatable is important. It needs to be consistently done. We're not talking about grand plans. So again, we're not talking about this grand gym membership where I'm going to go 6 days a week and I'm going to do this and I'm going to eat this. This is not a grand plan. This is not reinvention. This is, again, small, repeatable practices. Okay. A ritual is what your life can actually hold on to. It's something that you can hold on to when you need it. And then number three is the reach. This is what you are moving towards. And here's the key. You're moving towards it gently. Not pressure, not perfection, not arbitrary dates or I have to. Your reach is the direction, right? So let me give you a model of the framework all put together, all right? We talked about the root, the ritual, and the reach. So I want to give you a model of this. If your intention is, I want peace, again, that's beautiful, but it's vague. Your root would say, I deserve steadiness even when my life is loud and chaotic. The ritual is, I take 2 minutes in the morning to breathe, to stretch, and to check in with myself. And then the reach would be, I respond instead of react at least once per day. And y'all know that's my favorite thing, responding and not reacting. Do you see how that becomes livable? Do you see how that becomes repeatable? So now I'm going to guide you through building your own intention plan, right? Your root intention plan through the framework. So if you're able to, I want you to grab a journal or grab something that you can write on. If not, maybe you can grab your phone and you can type notes in your phone, or you can just listen and answer these things in your mind. And you can come back later and write these things down. I'm really big on writing things down pen to paper because I feel like it materializes it and it makes it tangible in a way that is different. I want you to think about one thing that is a part or one theme that is a part of your transition period that you're in right now. Think about what that is. And I want you to identify the root that goes under this intention that you have during transition. All right. What's a root that you can put there? Now, what's a ritual that you know that you can do every day? It can be very small that you can repeat. Put that together. And then this last thing is what's the reach, right? Put together what your reach is going to be. It is what you're moving towards, and let that continue to be your guiding light. All right. We're going to take another quick break. We'll be back and we'll go a little bit deeper into the episode. Be back in just a second. Welcome back, everyone, to the episode. And we are going to get into some guided practices. So, we talked about our framework and we talked about root, ritual, and reach. And I want us to go through a practice of building your intentions. And the way I want us to do that is to talk about reflection windows. Okay. So, let's begin with root. Here's your first root question that I want you to consider. What did last year teach you that you do not want to forget? I know. Sit with that one. Here's root question number 2. What did you survive that deserves to be honored and not minimized? What did you survive that deserves to be honored? I really want you to sit with that. And then our last root question is, what do you want to protect in yourself this year? So here are some examples for how you can answer root question number 3. You might want to protect your softness. You might want to protect your rest, your creativity, your sobriety, your boundaries, right? Your faith, your peace, your joy, your body. But we need to identify what you want to protect in yourself this year. So now that we've had these root questions, I want you to turn these into rooted statements. So this is how you will start it. This year, I am rooted in, and then I want you to finish that sentence. This year, I am rooted in, and you add what you're rooting yourself in for the year. Very good. Now, let's move to ritual. Okay? This is part 2 in the framework. Here's the first ritual question. What is one small practice that you can repeat that supports your root? Remember, it means small, not elaborate, not big. Think about 2 minutes, 5 minutes, once a day, something that is a very small, manageable amount. It could also be once a week. It's something that you're actually going to do. I think that's the key, especially on a hard day. What is something that you're actually going to do even on a hard day? Your next question for ritual is what time of the day can your body realistically hold this practice or actually do this practice or ritual, right? Is it in the morning time because that's the time when you're the most fresh? Is it at lunch? Is it after work? Is it before bed? Is it right after you brush your teeth or right after you get in your car? Is it right when you get home and you park your car and turn the car off? Is it right before you open up your laptop? What time of the day can your body realistically hold this ritual? And then here's ritual question number 3. What will get in the way and what is the backup plan if it does? Because if we are not planning with intention, that means that we are looking at the perfect version of the plan happening. Intention says, I need to have a backup plan, right? Because we're not planning for perfection. Perfection does not exist. We're planning for real life. So, what could your backup plan be? If maybe the practice or the ritual that you're going to do is journaling, your backup plan would say, if I cannot journal, I'll voice note. All right. That would be a backup plan if something gets in the way. So I hope that that was helpful as an example. Here's another backup plan. If I can't do 20 minutes, I'll just do 2. Still ritual, still doing what you need to do, but you're getting it done. Here's another one. If I forget in the morning, I will do it at night. And so I have a confession. I'm a morning workout person and I don't do well working out later on in the day. But one of the things that I have been committed to is that if I have a day that doesn't go perfectly the way I want to, and I don't get to the gym first thing in the morning, then I'm going to have to do it at night. And it doesn't happen often, but I stay committed to that. Now, I want you to say out loud what your ritual is going to be if you can, if you're in a space where you can do that. So you say, my ritual is, and then I want you to name what the ritual is. I need you to hear what you're committing yourself to. All right. Now let's move on to reach. Your first reach question number 1. If this root and ritual are consistent for 90 days, what is going to change in me? Let's think transformative in a transformative way. How is this going to change you? Do you sleep better? Do you feel less reactive? Do you create more? Do you feel more grounded? Do you say no more? Because no is a wonderful word. Do you have more energy? Do you feel less resentful or feel more connected? What happens if the root and the ritual are consistent for 90 days? Here's reach question number 2. What is one measurable sign that you're moving in the right direction? So again, not dramatic transformation, just a sign that things are changing. So here are some examples. You find yourself pausing before replying to stressful messages, or you find yourself pausing before responding in a situation that's high emotion that you would often feel as if you need to respond from a place of emotional anger or frustration instead of thoughtful and logical. Here's another example. I take 1 walk a week. Again, it's not perfection, but that's showing that transformation is happening. Some changes are happening. You go to an appointment or you have a conversation that you may have been avoiding. Here's another one. Asking for help. And you're finding yourself asking for help once a week because that was your struggle. You never asked for help, but now you're finding yourself asking for it. You may stop negotiating with your boundaries. Stop doing that. That is a sign that things are going in the direction that they need to go. That's showing the reach that is happening. Now, you have intention. The intention is rooted. You have a ritual. It's realistic. And you have a reach that's giving you direction. This is how you start your transition period, whether it be at the top of the year or not, with integrity. We're going to take a break and we're going to come back and we're going to do some integration work and we're going to talk about commitment to this process. Let's take a break and we'll be back in just a second. Welcome back to the episode, and just want to give us a quick reminder to remember to like and subscribe. This is important. We want to get this out there to more ears, more eyes, and so you are part of the plan. As part of this resilient team, we need you to like and subscribe to the episode and share it. All right. So remember, YouTube, Apple Podcasts, and Spotify are the main places where you can find us. All right. So let's get into talking about integration, a two-part commitment. So I want to give you one more tool before we get into closing out the episode and talking about call to action. And so I think that this is good for you to use moving forward. So instead of you having New Year's resolutions, making resolutions, I want you to start doing what is called a two-part commitment. Part one is I commit to the practice, whatever that practice may be. Part two, I commit to the repair. So the practice is what you can do when it's easy. The repair is what you do when you fall off. All right. There's a difference between growth and shame, and the difference is the repair. So your repair plan might sound like when I miss a week of working out, I'll just restart without punishing myself. All right. I'm using working out because this is a common resolution that's done at the top of every calendar year. Everybody's working out, right? So I'm using that because that is an easy one to pick on. All right. Low hanging fruit in this case. Another example of this is that when you get overwhelmed, so just say when I get overwhelmed, I'll return to one small ritual. So remember, the small is something in a small increment that you can consistently do. Another thing that you will say is when I feel myself spiraling, I will reach out to someone who is safe. Make your repair plan now before you get to the space where you need to put it into action. You do not want to come up with a repair plan in the middle of the need for repair. So I want you to think about one sentence right now that will be a repair plan that you can put into action. I personally really like the one, and I use it because it's something that is important to me, is that when you feel yourself spiraling, that you reach out to someone that is safe. That is really important to have. All right. That's that emergency lever that you sometimes need to pull. So now that you've created your one sentence, that sentence is your protection. I want you to keep that. I want you to take some time before we get into closing out the show in the next segment in our calls to action. I want you to take some time during this quick break to identify a couple of more repair plans that you can put in place for different situations that you may experience, because I think that this is going to be important for you to go to when you need it. And so that may mean you need to write them down. That may mean you need to do a voice memo, but whatever it is, you want to have that repair plan. All right. Going to take our last break of the show, and then we're going to come back. We're going to do our call to action, and we are going to close out the show. Be back in just a second. Welcome back, everyone. We are going to get ready to close out this show. And I want to start with our call to action. If this episode helped you name what season you are in, I want you to share it with one person who needs a gentle clarity reminder right now. And I also want you to go a little bit deeper. I would love to hear from you. So if you want to share what this has looked like for you, you can go to my speak pipe and leave me a voicemail. And it is www.speakpipe.com/the Iowa. And tell me what you are rooted in for this year and what rituals you are choosing. And you can just keep it simple and keep it honest, keep it real, right? You're not doing this alone. I also want to challenge you, if you haven't done so, to also make sure that you have picked up the manual for our show. All right, this is really important. The book is Rooted in Resilience. Get your copy. You can go to my website, MalikaMBrown.com /store/p/rooted in resilience and get your copy. Because again, listening to the podcast is great, but without having the book as something that you can go to, you don't have something that you can fall back on that will be a reminder of what you have going on. Also, I would love for you to join our Substack community. I think that it's really important for us to connect. And so our Substack is theiowa.substack.com. And I would love for you to get all of the additional information that goes out during the week on the days that the podcast has not aired. So podcasts air on Tuesdays, but there are posts Sunday through Friday. And so you get some things that connect to the episode. And also, as we start the new week on Sunday, it will prepare you for what's coming on the episode for that coming week. So I wanted to give you those things because I think that they're really important. And as we move through the year, I want you to continue to honor your pace. I want you to stop arguing with your capacity. Your capacity is telling you what you have the ability to do. Stop arguing with that and honor it. I want you to choose intentions that are going to hold you and not harm you. And I want your healing to be steady and not performative. Your life deserves to expand without you abandoning yourself and who you are in order to get there. So, as always, I'm Dr. Malika. This is the Iowa podcast. Until we meet back here again next week, keep healing loudly and living softly.